So is Christian Watson saving the Packers season? I made a video a couple weeks ago saying, could he be the guy who saves the Packers season? And it was basically, my theory was, could he come in handy on plays exactly like this, which is, again, I'm not going to sit here and say this is an incredible, big brain take by me. It was, hey, the Packers can't win on these types of routes. Usually the way you win on these types of routes is being big and having speed. Christian Watson has that, so maybe putting him there would be the right move. And once they did it this week, clearly it's working out. I mean, this is going to be just a great example of, what makes him so uncoverable, and part of why this coverage has been giving the Packers so much trouble and created that big losing streak might now not actually be the best coverage to play against them, because watch what happens. Rodgers takes a snap, he runs a play action, and you see this is just speed. This is just Watson running by his assigned man. And if, one of the reasons why I harp so much on speed when it comes to cornerbacks especially is because of these types of situations. If you get yourself a little out of position, but you have speed to make up for it, you're okay. But if you get yourself a little out of position and don't have the speed to make up for it, well, then you're definitely in trouble. And, Anthony Brown actually has speed. That's part of why he went up against Christian Watson, I think. He ran a 4.36, so I understand why, it kind of makes sense why to have Brown on Watson, even though I think you would have thought maybe Diggs would be the guy. But look, as you see, Rodgers makes just a great throw. It's a perfect throw, and Watson gets just enough separation to get the catch and get into the end zone for a touchdown. And it's these types of plays that the Packers were slaying against them, and I'm coaching against them. I'm at least making sure I have a safety over the top of Watson. But now let's go over here. So, okay, great. Victory lap. Everything's going great. There's still some things we have to talk about. There's a lot more details. It gets a little bit more nuanced than just that. That's the Cliff Notes. If you can tune out now if you want to, but don't, stay around. I have some other interesting things to talk about, I think. For example, this play, which is going to be kind of similar. It's not a go route, but same idea. Single safety deep, trying to win on the outside. Watch as Rodgers takes a snap, and he's going to look in that direction. You see at this point that, there's a window, right? It could work. Rodgers' throw is, I think a good throw, and Watson just was not quite able to hang on there. Tough play, good defense, but again, I do think one thing worth mentioning about Watson, he hasn't been spectacular at these contested catches at the NFL level. He's done a good job at catching the ones that hit him in the hands, with one notable exception, but the kind of contested catches, adjusting to the ball, he still is an imperfect receiver. He was a second-round pick for a reason, and there's things he's very good at. We'll talk more about those things he's very good at, but he still is an imperfect player. Something like this is another example of, it's basically the exact same play I showed you the first time with one slight exception, and that is that Watson is currently lined up as the number 2 receiver, which means the receiver second closest towards the sideline instead of the just pure plus receiver here. However, of course, the end of the route's going to essentially be the same. So there's a difference, but really there isn't. Rodgers takes a snap. You're going to see Christian Watson get to this point. Defensive back who's covering him doing a better job of kind of saying, hey, listen, there's one way I can't let this guy beat me. If it turns into a contested catch battle, I'm okay. Don't want to let Watson beat me down the field. And that is the proper way to defend against Christian Watson. I think some guys and some coaches will kind of get in their own heads a little bit. They'll let the egos get the best of them and say, oh, well, I'm good enough that I don't have to do this. No, do the right thing. Attack your opponent's weakness or protect yourself from your opponent's strength in this case, which is what Dallas is doing. However, Rodgers makes his throw anyways, and look at Watson. He really, I wonder if he lost it in the lights or something, because he noticeably slowed down at the end of that route and had a chance to make that grab and just wasn't able to do it. So that's a weird play from Watson that I noticed. So that's kind of maybe a counter argument to the Christian Watson saving the Packers season, right? Christian Watson does some things very nice, but Christian Watson is a flawed player. He was a flawed prospect, and it's turned into being a flawed NFL player. I think that's a reasonable critique to have of his game. I do. Like this one's another one where it's again going to be kind of a similar situation where you have Christian Watson on the outside, again, one-on-one matchup on the outside. This time it's not going to be just a pure go route. Watch, Rodgers takes a snap. You're going to see that at this point, I think Rodgers wants to go to the back shoulder here, but Watson doesn't realize it. Look, Rodgers, Watson, just not on the same page there. And this is totally understandable, right? I think you'd be a fool to criticize either one of these guys for this play. It's just hey, they have to get the chemistry down. They haven't had the time to get the chemistry down. And this is just part of the issue of putting themselves in the hole that they dug themselves into. Losing that Lions game last week is really tough because their schedule is not that easy coming up. And Christian Watson doing some things that really helped the Packers, but it's almost like he's going to have to continue to get better really quickly if he's going to save this season. Does give you hope for next season though. But also it gives you hope for this season. And this is an example of why you should have hope for this season is he doesn't have to win every play, right? You don't have to win every rep as a wide receiver. You get 3 downs. Actually, you get 4 downs. So, use them and take chances with Christian Watson. This is an example of this is an incredible route. This is easily the best route of his career. And I'm including the one, that should have gotten him a touchdown against Minnesota, which was also a great route. Right when this play begins, you see how he's doing an incredible job at selling as though he's going over the middle right here. And that's a route that you would typically run in this spot. So, you don't expect a deeper route right here. There's a safety right over the middle of the field. So if you're a corner, this is the same guy who gave Watson a lot of space, but he's moving in because he's fooled on this route by Watson. Still playing at a high level, despite what the haters might say, and great play from Christian Watson. This is just the stuff that they're able to do, and this is kind of what makes me say, while I'm not sure he can save the season, they're in some of these plays. Like, something like this is another example of just what he's able to do, which is just, kind of be a guy who could just run by people. Situation like this, one-on-one matchup, and the safety who's deep is going to immediately read him. Also, that's just something to keep in mind before I even start to play. Watch as they basically both get over, trying to get over the middle, but again, at this point, there's already a window for Rodgers to throw. Aaron Rodgers does. Christian Watson makes the catch, is able to get into the end zone for a touchdown. He, lets everyone know that was his 3rd touchdown of the game. Listen, if we're evaluating Christian Watson and what he can do, it would just be a lie to say he's got everything down and he's a perfect wide receiver. I think that would just be factually untrue. However, I also think it'd be untrue to say that he hasn't made a huge difference for this Packers offense. I mean, they do not beat Dallas without Christian Watson. Clearly, he was great in this one. And they, yes, there are some issues in his game, but let other receivers do that stuff. Let him do what he's good at. The old Bill Belichick quote, right? Of, I'm not concerned about what guys can't do. I want, let me know what they can do, and I'll put them in a position to succeed. That's the case of Watson. The question is, will he be able to, get the chemistry perfectly down with Rodgers down the stretch here for them to really succeed? Will other guys step up? Or was this maybe just a fluke? Is there a way to cover him? I think there probably is. I think you have to put a safety over the top of Watson. That's what I think the teams might start doing now. But if they start doing that, could help set some stuff, open up some stuff for maybe the running game or maybe some other stuff. So Packers offense looking very different right now than it did last week. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.